Before installing the reverse osmosis system, you need to evaluate the limitations of the system and determine the proper place to locate the unit. QCRO systems should not be used on water systems that are microbiologically unsafe to drink or with a total dissolved solids level in excess of 800 parts per million. For water with a higher level, Sterling offers RO systems with booster pumps. The ideal location for the QCRO is in a basement. If a more practical location is not available, the QCRO can be placed under the sink, but this is not ideal. A basement or utility room installation offers the following advantages. Number 1, it can be located where it's accessible for maintenance. Number 2, leaks are easy to see and fix. Number 3, should a leak develop, there's less of a chance for substantial damage. Number 4, an adequate drain is generally available. And number 5, you eliminate the drain water noise associated with under-the-sink installations. If the system is installed under a sink or anywhere costly damage would result from a leak, it must have some type of leak detector installed that will automatically terminate the water supply to the QCRO. Local plumbing code should be followed during installation. The system must have feed water that is less than 800 parts per million total dissolved solids, with a hardness content less than 10 grains per gallon and an iron level less than 0.3 parts per million. Supplying the unit with zero soft water will greatly increase the life of the membrane. The QCRO consists of 3 pre-filters: a membrane housing, membrane, and polishing filter. Also included are a faucet, storage tank, tubing, drain line flow control, automatic drain shutoff, and miscellaneous fittings. The sediment and 2 carbon pre-filters protect the membrane by removing turbidity and chlorine. Under pressure, water is forced through the membrane. Molecule by molecule, the water slowly moves through the membrane. Most of the dissolved solids in the water cannot penetrate the membrane and are washed down the drain. Finished water that has passed through the membrane is stored in the pressurized tank. When water is drawn from the RO faucet, it passes from the storage tank through the final polishing filter. Using appropriate anchors, mount the system to the wall or cabinet. Remove all temporary plugs. These are generally found at both ends of the polishing filter and in the end of the drain line flow control. A self-piercing saddle valve or T must be installed to provide feed water to the QCRO system. A 1/4-inch supply line should be run to the manual shutoff valve on the inlet of the QCRO. It's very important to squarely cut the end of the tubing and fully insert the tubing into all fittings. The tubing must not only pass the stainless steel grippers, but must also extend beyond the O-ring, which is deep inside each push-in fitting. A seal is not made until the tubing passes this O-ring. If the unit is installed under a sink or where damage could occur due to a leak, be sure to install a leak detector with automatic water shutoff in the supply line. Mount the leak detector to the floor of the cabinet directly below the unit. Note the flow direction markings on the top of the detector. Should even a slight amount of moisture contact the bottom of the detector, the water supply to the RO will be terminated. If the leak detector terminates the water supply, merely fix the leak and reload the detector with a new sensing pad that is stored inside the detector housing. Screw the right-angle ball valve onto the inlet fitting of the storage tank. Be sure the valve is in the off position. Using a low-pressure tire gauge, you can check to make sure the internal pressure is between 5 and 7 psi. Attach one end of a length of tubing to the T on the polishing filter and the other end to the ball valve just installed on the pressurized storage tank. Push another 1/4-inch diameter tube into the discharge of the drain line flow control. The other end of the drain line can run to a laundry tub, sump pump pit, or floor drain. If the system is installed under the kitchen sink, the drain should be attached to a saddle connector provided. The saddle should be installed above the P-trap. Using a 1/4-inch bit, drill a hole in the drain pipe. Attach the drain line to the saddle. Drill or locate a hole appropriate for mounting the faucet. Slide the decorator plate and the rubber gasket over the faucet stem and place the faucet in the opening. On the underside of the counter, place the large washer and gripper ring over the stem and tighten the hex nut. Generally, the compression nut is discarded. Screw the push-in adapter to the faucet stem and insert tubing into the adapter. The other end of this tube attaches to the discharge end of the polishing filter. Open the water supply valve and check for leaks. Now open the inlet valve on the RO system. Open the RO faucet and wait until water drips from the outlet. The first water that discharges from the faucet will likely be black or gray. This discoloration is merely fines from the carbon cartridges and will clear up when flushed. Close the faucet and wait a few minutes or until the water no longer flows to the drain before checking for leaks. If there are no leaks, open the ball valve on top of the storage tank. After several hours, the storage tank will be full. Again, check for leaks. Open the faucet and drain the system completely. This will flush the carbon fines from the system. Shut the faucet. RO water will be available for use when the tank refills. The more RO water that is used, the better the water quality will be maintained. The storage tank should be completely drained at least once per week. Every 6 months, the 3 pre-filters and 1 polishing filter should be replaced. First, shut off the inlet valve on the system. Then close the ball valve on the storage tank and open the faucet momentarily to relieve pressure on the system. The 3 pre-filters can hinge outward and are removed with a 1/4 turn. All 3 are color-coded to the manifold. Replace all 3 maintaining their correct order. Before changing the polishing filter, note the direction of flow arrow on the cartridge. Now remove the safety clips on the push-in fitting on each end of the filter. While holding in the release collar on the filter, pull out the fittings. Snap the new polishing filter in place and push in the fittings. Be sure to replace the safety clips. Membrane replacement is generally required every 3 years. The frequency depends on the quality of the feed water. The system should be disinfected when the membrane is replaced. To disinfect the system, follow these steps. Number 1, turn the water off and drain the storage tank. Number 2, pull the old membrane out and discard. Add a teaspoon of unscented chlorine bleach to the membrane housing and replace the membrane cap. Number 3, turn the water back on and fill the storage tank. Number 4, wait 20 minutes, turn the water off, and flush the system by draining the storage tank. Number 5, remove the cap on the membrane housing and insert the new membrane. And number 6, turn the water back on. If you wish to check the performance of the membrane, you can close the ball valve on the storage tank and check the quality of the water that drips directly from the membrane with the faucet open. Allow at least a quart of water to drip from the faucet before checking the quality. It is recommended that the pre-charge in the storage tank be checked annually. When the storage tank is completely empty, it should have between 5 and 7 pounds of air pressure. This video cannot cover every situation or installation that's possible. It's also very important for you to evaluate the qualifications and experience of the installer that you choose. Sterling Water Treatment does not have employees or agents that install the equipment that they manufacture.